All right, you buy a new machine for 30%, sorry, for 30 grand. It depreciates by 15% per year. There's a formula which is F equals P, 1 minus I to the power T. That's in your notes. Okay, now if you're using this quite literally in your notes, it would mean that the final price equals your initial price of 30,000. 1. I is your interest rate or your rate of depreciation in decimal form. What's 15% in decimal form? Yeah. And T is the amount of years you're depreciating for, which is 5. Now, the way I tend to do it is if you lose 15% of your worth, how much of your worth are you retaining? If you lose 15% of what you're worth, how much percentage are you retaining? Yeah, so you'll see the way that turns into a 0.85? That just means you're retaining 85% for 5 years. Is that right? So we multiply, take out the calculator and multiply that out. Does anybody have an answer? 13,200 and 0.16. Everybody cool with that? Okay. A sum of money was invested for 2 years at 3% compound interest per year. At the end of 2 years, it amounted to 30 grand. Find the sum invested. No bother. Okay. So here's what happens. F equals P 1 plus I to the power of T. Is that okay with you guys? Your final amount is how much? How much is your final amount? 30 grand. Your initial amount, P, is what you're trying to find out, isn't it? 1. Now what's your I value? Not 3. 0.03. Has to be 3%. Okay. And your T value? 2. Okay. Now, would everybody agree that it's P? What happens when I add 1 and 0.03 together? Everybody see 1.03? If I multiply something by 1.03, what effectively does it do? Adds on 3%. If I multiply something by 1.12, how much percent does it add on? 12%. I'm adding on 3% twice. Everybody cool with that? And when I do that, it ends up to be 30,000. Do you think my initial investment is bigger or smaller than 30,000? When you invest money, you start off small and it gets bigger. So what are you thinking, bigger or smaller? If you do not get a smaller answer, something's gone wrong. See the 1.3 to the power 2? It's multiplication on the right, which makes a what on the left? Makes a division on the left. So get your 30,000 and divide it by 1.03 to the power 2. And you can therefore figure out what happened. Okay, so 3,000 divided by 1.03 to the power 2. 28,277.88. You okay with that? Okay. A company invested 25,000 euro for 3 years at a fixed rate of compound interest. At the end of the 3 years, it amounted to this much. Find the rate of interest. Okay. So F equals P 1 plus I to the power of T. Because you're gaining interest instead of losing interest, right? So F is 26,530.20. Everybody cool with that? What's your P value? How much did you enter in to begin with? You enter in 25,000. Okay, I have no idea. It would be 25,000 multiplied by something to the power of what? How many years did I invest for? 3. Now, for argument's sake, are you looking? If this number was 1.13, what would that mean? I was adding on 13% a year. Would that make sense? If this number was, for argument's sake, if this number was 0.97, what would that mean? I'm losing 3% per year, right? So as everybody agreed, we have no idea what percentage we're using. Everybody cool with that? We'll just call it M, where M is 1 point something. Does that kill you? Now, here's what we're going to do. We want to get M on its own by the end of the question. What's the first thing to leave the M side? It's been multiplied by 25,000. So what happens to 25,000 when you bring it over to your side? It becomes divide, doesn't it? Okay, so why don't we divide that number by 25,000? So we get 26,530.20, and we're going to divide it by 25,000 to see what happens. 1.061208. I'll leave it as that. Okay with that? Can I ask you this question? How would you guys answer x squared equals 25? What would you do to find the answer? You would square root 25. You cool with that? We all know how to do that, don't you? Okay. How would you answer the question x cubed equals 27? What would you do this time? You wouldn't square root it. What would you do instead? You would cube root it because it's power 3, not power of 2. And if I ask you this one, how would you do that one? You would fourth root it, yeah? So example is I could press this button here. Shift, where is it actually? In a sec, eyes are adjusting. There it is. Shift this button here. Fourth root of 81, for example, is 3. How do you think I'm going to do this question on the left then? What do you think M is on its own? Cube root of 1.06120.8. Does that make sense? So you're going to put all that in. Cube root 1.02. Now, what does 1.02 mean again? Are you adding on 2% or what's going on? So that means your interest rate was 2%. If you got an answer of 1.05, what would your answer be? 5%, exactly. All right? So it means you're increasing it by 2%. Any questions? All right. That part 3 is pretty difficult, so don't be too worried about it. All right, complex number time. What point is this one here? 3 across and how do I write that as complex numbers? That's the point 3 minus 1, I. So A is 3 and B is minus 1. Is that okay with you guys? 3 across and 1 down. No I. No. See the way the B is in front of the I? BI? So no, the I is not included. All good? Part 2. Plot this one on the Argand diagram. Minus 1 across and 2 in the air. So where do you think that is? Minus 1, 2. There is Z2. That was plus 1. Oh, sorry. Thanks. We saw nothing. Right. We good? 1 across and 2 up. Right. Part 3. What's Z1 again? Z1 is 3 minus I. And Z2 minus 1 plus. Does everyone understand that's Z1 over Z2? Does anybody remember what to do with a complex number when you have a fraction with it that has an I on the bottom? Does anybody remember what to do? Yeah, it's what's called the conjugate. So I'll give you an example. If I give you the number 3 plus 4i, you ever see 3 plus 4i? The conjugate is change the sign on the imaginary part. So the conjugate will be 3 minus 4i. Is that okay with you guys? If I gave you another number like minus 5 minus 3i, what would be the conjugate of this one? Can anybody tell me? Minus 5 and See the way you only ever change the part that comes in front of the eye? So what you do is you multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of the bottom. So what's the conjugate of the bottom number? And you multiply top and bottom by minus 1 minus 2i. Okay, that's the method we use for multiplying out fractions of complex numbers. Okay, and what's the other rule? Anywhere you see an I squared, what happens? And anywhere you see an I squared, it turns into a minus 1. Okay, so let's go for it. 3 times minus 1, minus 3, minus 6i, yeah? Minus 1i times 1, plus 1i, and then minus 1i by minus 2i, 2i squared, plus 2i squared. And minus I squared changes to minus 1. 2 times minus 1, minus 2. Just to let you know, this is the one question. You can completely ignore this question for your leaving cert and it won't damage you. As in, provided you have everything else in paper one covered. It's the only question that doesn't seep into other questions. So if you were looking to cut work, if you were really under pressure, complex numbers would be the first thing you simply don't study. Does that make sense? Because it might pop up twice, but then you should be able to do every other question around it. It won't occur more than twice. Okay? Or hasn't historically. Okay? Now what happens here? What's minus 1 by minus 1? Plus 1. Minus 1 by minus 2. Plus 2i. 2i by minus 1. And then finally 2i by minus 2i. I squared, and that turns into plus 4 on the bottom. You cool with that? Now let's look what happens. Minus 3 minus 2 on top. Minus 5. Minus 6 plus 1. Minus 5i. And on the bottom, 2 i's cancel. 1 plus 4. 5. Divide the top by the bottom. What's minus 5 divided by 5? What's minus 5i divided by 5? Yeah, minus 1, minus 1, minus 1i. That clear with you guys? Okay, is that the end of it or is there another part? Part B. Okay. Solve. Solve what Z is. Ever killed that? So, would everybody agree that Z is only located in this section here? So we're just going to leave that alone. Just going to keep it on its own. Now we're just going to multiply it out. So what happens to the rest of the question? Yeah. Yeah. Minus 4, yeah. Yeah. Minus 2i squared, otherwise known as plus 2. Do you see the way I sort of do that? I do the workings on the top right, so I only have to write one line instead of two lines. Just lines, keep it there. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Would everybody agree that that is, once again, I'm going to do a bit of timekeeping here. See the minus 24? If that goes over the other side, that will be A. So it's going to be minus 4 plus 2, which is minus 2. Minus 2 plus 24, 22. Likewise, see that 36, I'm just going to put over here in red. Then I'm going to underline the other ones in red. 6i, take away 36i. Yep. And then finally, I have that 2z here, don't I? Divide both sides by 2. Yeah. To be honest, that complex numbers questions can be quite easy as well. That's the other thing, though. While you can leave it out, they can be quite easy at times. Real good? Right. Is there a part C or that's it? That was nice. That was actually a nice question. Right. Sorry. So I'm going to multiply this out, lads. This is a bit of a gimme. What do you reckon? Yeah. Yeah, this is nice. And then 18 take away 3 is 15. And then 11x plus 5 on that side, isn't it? Bring the 3x to the left and the 5 to the right. X plus 3x equals 15, take 5. 4x equals 10. X equals 2.5. So you go. Interesting. Let's find out. You got 11x minus 10x, yeah? Now it's a plus 3x when it moves over. What's happened to you? Sorry. And you obviously moved something else that wasn't. Oh, wait. I think I made a mistake there then. 18 plus 3, I also made a mistake. That's 21. And 21 take 5 is 16. So x is 4. Anybody else get x equals 4 for that one? Or have we ever done it before? So I made one mistake, you made the other mistake. So 18 plus 3 being 21, not 15. Yeah. All right. You all good with that? All right. Next one. Finally, this question here. This is something I've been after a while. I haven't done one in a long time. Okay, to pass this question, first of all, it's a simultaneous equation, right? Is it a normal simultaneous equation like this? Remember ones you would have learned in the start of second year. What's the difference between the blue simultaneous equation and the black simultaneous equation? Squares involved. That means one of these is linear and the other one is quadratic. While the two of these are, and you usually just add straight down, don't you? And you get 3x equals 8. All right? So when we're doing a linear and quadratic one, your goal is to start with the linear and get one letter on its own. Which letter would you like to get on its own? Okay, once you move it over to your side, you get y equals. Now, what happens if you were to get x on its own? What would happen? If you got x on its own, what would happen? 2x equals y plus 5, and then x would equal y plus 5 all over 2. They're both correct, but at ordinary level, which one do you select and why? The one without the fraction. Ever got that? At ordinary level, there's always a choice, and you never, ever, ever take the one with the fraction, unless you're really, really good at maths. Okay? So we take the one without the fraction. Ever cool with that? We go to our second equation. What do you think we're going to do with our second equation? Anywhere you see a y, sub it in. And guess what? You've passed the question. This question has been passed already. You're probably over halfway now. Cool with that? Very easy. Next part, not so easy. What do you think we do with the square? Write it out twice, yeah? Now once again, I'm just going to do a bit of space, keeping myself. I'm just going to write it up here in the rough work section, or up to the side of the page. Going to multiply this out. Cool with that? 4x squared minus 10x minus another 10x and plus 25. And it's going to be 4x squared minus 20x plus 25. Does everybody see the way the 25s are on both sides? What does that mean? They do cancel, don't they? Or if I brought the 25 over, it would become a minus 25, and then they'd cancel anyway. So what's left over? Okay. The minus b heads in the class. Here's what you do. What's the a value? The b value? The minus b value? The c value? Okay. And you'd lob it all into the calculator. What's it? Minus b. So it'd be 20 plus or minus the square root of minus 20 squared minus 4 times 5 times 0 all over 2 times 5. The people who factorize, here's what you'll do. Remove 5x. And what's left over? X minus 4. Right? And then you'd say 5x equals 0. Then you'd say x must be 0 because 5 times 0 is 0. And then you say x minus 4 equals 0. And then you just say x equals 4. So there are your two answers. If you do the minus b equation, you'll also get those two answers as well. Is that okay with you guys? So if you do the minus b formula, you'll still get the two answers that I found. For those of you who, we got used to trapezoidal rule, right? Trapezoidal rule is the following. H over 2 And what does it say in your copy? Y0, is it? All right, guys. Does everybody see Y1? Everybody see Y1? That's your first height. First. Everybody see YN? That's your last. Everybody see Y2, Y4, all the in-betweens? They're what's called your remainder, your remaining heights. Right? See the H value down the bottom? That's your gap between lines. Just called the H value, not necessarily the height. So it's first plus last, 2 times remaining. See the way the line goes straight up? See the way this green line goes straight up? Do you see it like that? If that went slightly to the right, that height would count as 0. Has to go straight up to count. All right? So let's look at this. First, so what's our H value? 3 over 2. What's our first? 4. What's our last? 8. 2 times the remainder? You're talking your 5.8, your 7, your 6.5, your 6, your 4.8, your other 6, and your 6.5. You cool with that? Now, to prevent yourself making a massive amount of mistakes, what I do is I do first plus last first. 4 plus 8, 12. And then I do 2 times, and then I just add all the remainders. See these ones here? Want to throw all these ones into your calculator now? That'd be a good call. So 5.8 plus 7 plus 6.5 plus 6 plus 4.8 plus 6 plus 6.5. You get 42.6. Now I'm at the stage where I can do it all in one go, where it's not a gigantic amount. So I'm going to do 3 over 2 or 1.5 times 12 plus 2 times 42.6. And long and behold, my answer is going to be 145.8 meters squared. This is an estimate. It has a curly, if you look back at the original page, see the curly set of equal signs? That means it's an estimate, not exactly equal, but pretty close. Is that okay? Okay. Yeah, leave it. Okay. Now, is there a part 2 to this, is there? This one here? Okay. The same area was measured, except the gap was 4. And the area is found to be 145.6. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing. H over 2, first plus last, 2 times remaining. We cool with that? So our A is 145.6. What's our H value? What's our H value, lads? 4. What's our first? 4. Our last is 8. 2 times the remaining. Now what I'm going to do with 2 times the remaining is, see these ones here I'm underlining in red? They're the ones I'm going to add together first. So I'm doing the remainder. What's going to happen is it's going to be 6.4 plus 6.9 plus 6 plus 6.2. I'm not forgetting about the x, I'm just leaving it out for a second. So it's going to be 25 plus 5. And then we're going to put the x in here as well. Everybody cool with that? Now, 145.6 equals 2 times 4 plus 8 is still 12. 2 times 25.5 is 51. 2 times x is 2x. And then it's going to be 2 times 63 plus 2x equals 145.6. It's going to be 126 plus 4x equals 145.6. 145.6, take away your 126. Gives you 19.6. That equals 4x. Divide that by 4. Get your x value of 4.9. And when you check your question up the top, does everybody see the way 4.9 is shorter than 6? See the gap difference? So it's a good indication that what I got is probably correct. Is that okay?